All right, Doc. So let's do a what we used to think to what we should think
Ooh,
now kind of segment. If we upgrade from this idea of work harder, we should now think what?
probably stimulate smarter.
Okay.
I like
Back to
that.
the intensity versus volume talk.
Specifics.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. How about no pain, no gain?
I know we hear this a lot too.
Yep.
Then I started thinking, okay, no pain, no gain, no recovery, no progress then.
Because if we're not recovering, there is no growth. That is the growth time.
100%.
And I think a lot of people, we talked about how stress and sleep can affect your gains. We talked about that in the past too. I think it's more important.
So true.
How about more reps, more exercises to grow?
This is one where I, from a clinician standpoint, definitely need to be better. But I, based on principles outside of the systems that we have, you want fewer exercises, but higher quality signals and being smarter with those signals. Because I know we give our patients a lot of like exercises, and that was more for them to have as a resource,
Yep.
just so they can tissue target and understand and learn their body better. But I think a lot of people don't understand that you have to be smart with what signal you're sending. So yes,
Intention.
you have all the resources. You don't necessarily have to be in doing all those exercises, but that again goes back to fewer and smarter
Yep.
signal-wise.
And for them too, it's pretty, they're detraining most of the time. It's not really too stimulating. But when we move them from that pain-free to now goal push mode, that's where they got to start thinking more of the signal as an important versus
100%.
just doing the reps. Because eventually, like we talk about, they get to that 80%. And then how do we get to that 20%, extra 20%?
I can't wait to send all the patients for certain times they start plateauing. Just watch this episode or this
right?
clip or mid or whatever, and there it is.
Intention.
So true.
Always train to failure, train to exhaustion.
I think there's certain times that is needed, but what's our goals? Are we going more for adaptation? Are we going more for growth? If so, then train to failure maybe once, twice a week for certain body areas, and then off-ramp deload. Then goes back to the recovery aspects.
And then
yeah.
cycle.
Yeah.
For sure. Volume is the solution.
I would say, yeah, recovery, you can multiply things much quicker if you have that focus. Again, send the signal, recovery, huge focus. So volume, problem, especially when people are rehabbing, or let's say, for example, I like this example too. Years ago, and even still today, NBA players, they either take rest for the recovery or they build up the small connective tissue or other areas around their body for the recovery, thus to build the capacity. So you're actively recovering, you're accelerating the healing growth factor. Sleep, rest are important, but that's where the brain to tissue connection comes in place. So we're going to raise that capacity, thus withstand and heal faster and not have as much risk for injury moving forward from there. So
I'm curious what LeBron does. How does someone create as much mobility, strength, and effort as he does, still in his 40s, and having very little injury over his career? Man, I'd argue that he's not using something like this.
I would assume.
Yeah,
I know.
there's just no way that he's not on top of those adaptive states and trying to push himself, but then also recovering. I know he spends like $1.5 million a year on certain recovery. Supposedly.
Yeah.
I'd argue that there's not some of this involved.
I think he's had one trainer ever since he was younger, like college, early pros, and that trainer's been with him. Now, that trainer, that would be the one I would be curious on of, does he have other resources and how to schedule the pretty much the maintenance of LeBron's body within to a certain extent, of course, but just to monitor one person, I think I would absolutely love that. You can dive into so many areas. But then that comes with obviously the mental frame that you're pretty much giving your life goal, job towards that person. So there's a whole weird mental
For sure.
dynamic there. But
For sure.
yeah, no, that'd be interesting.